C'est parti. So hi everyone, welcome to the global community call of the OpenCovid19 initiative. I believe this is the 34th one, something like that. 28th, never mind. So this one is going to be a bit special because we are going to talk about the current micro grant round that we are currently going through. And so we just closed the application and we reached 40 projects. This is the largest round of micro grant we have ever done so far. And looking at the project, we're really impressed. So thank you so much for trusting in this community-driven process. I hope that you get nice evaluations. For the person who are new to this process, will be explaining how, what are going to be the steps to follow. Chris is going to do that, this is really like the core of the JOGL project. It's I'm just going to mute. Oh, thank you. This is better. So this is really at the core of the JOGL project. Is enabling a decentralized, community-based evaluation process to decide what projects are going to be the most useful, not only for solving the problem that we are all targeting collectively, but also useful for the global community. And so this is kind of like in rupture with the traditional approaches, and so we've been testing this approach for it's the 5th time. This is round 5. We've done some analysis so far, and when we just look at intuitively at the results, we can be quite impressed. It's like there are no projects that were selected by the community based on their evaluation that we would have rejected. So it works. From a simple perspective, and then we're also doing some more dedicated, in-depth analysis that Chris is going to touch a little bit because we don't want to get too much into details today, but we are also trying to understand what's going on in the background, what kind of bias are we being exposed through those processes, and so that you can see this current format as being the alpha version of what could be something much more robust tomorrow that could be applied to more to larger programs even. So this is exciting, and we could say that we are all being part of these pioneering experiments here. In terms of general news, I guess I will go through my screen sharing. This is going to be easier. All right. So this. All right. So as usual, you can find these documents in the Slack as a reference, and you have all the links here. In terms of news, so what's going to be the most interesting for you is the fact that in a month from now, we're going to launch like a serious update to the platform. Basically by the end of April. We expect between mid-April to the end of April. But the idea is we've been experimenting for a year and a half now since we launched the platform, and so I think we came to a point where we proved that this approach is useful for many projects, many communities. We still have to understand many things, and we still have to build also a lot of different tools and processes to make it even nicer to experience. For example, we're not good enough on the onboarding process, the way you're able to to receive notifications is also not good enough. So we are modernizing all this. But one thing that was not even not working properly, but was totally missing the fact that it was impossible for whole communities with their identity to exist on JOGL. You were diluted otherwise. You were just being part of one single community. So we want to change that. And so in a month from now, we're going to launch what we call spaces, community spaces in a beta version. And for that reason, so we are currently working with several communities that are going to be pioneering this feature. So they're going to be hosted on JOGL as a demonstration, and we're going to grow with them. And so the message I wanted to share here is that if you are yourself interested in being, part of those pioneering communities, and so you want to bring your community over to JOGL so that you can be exposed to whatever is going on here, to other communities, projects, and being able to offer also these kind of spaces to your own community and projects, don't hesitate to contact us, because we're interested to hear about you. We don't know at all anybody here in this space, and so every day we are discovering new communities, new projects. It's so exciting, and from every part of the world. So yeah, don't hesitate to contact us if you want to be part of that first batch. Once we launch, there will be a second batch that we'll be working with, and we're probably going to open publicly this feature by during the summer, something like that. All right. I think Luca is not here today, so there will be no platform update, even though there's been a lot of updates in the background that you maybe not have seen so far. But one thing I can tell you also as a spoiler is among the big updates that are going to arrive in a month from now is there is also going to be a map feature. So you'll be able actually to visualize people, projects, resources on a map either when you're going to a project page or you're going to the search page. So that's going also to add another dimension that is actually very relevant when we're talking about communities. All right, so let's get right into the most important subject of the day, the macrogrants round 5, and the fact that we are now entering into the review process. And so this review process is very peculiar. So it's something we are designing, on the go, trying to experiment, to understand what's working, what's not working. And every time we gather the data and we process them and we share the results with you. So it's really a transparent experimental process where at the same time, it's serving the community, but also it's serving the creation of this framework. So it's very useful. And so Chris is going to explain to you what we are doing right now, what's in stock for you to do, what are going to be the next steps, and what also is very, very important that you do also on your side in order to be eligible, and so that this whole experiment is going to be valuable for everyone. All right, Chris.
All right. Hey guys, I'm gonna share my screen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk about the microgrants and what's happened so far and what we need to do. So far the round opened. Can you see very well? I'm not sure. So far the round opened on the 24th of February, and then for one entire month, everyone put loads and loads of projects onto the OpenCovid grants page, and lots of people have applied. It's 40 projects. It's incredible, and I've looked through some of them, and it's very impressive. And I'm glad that clearly some of you have told your friends about it, which is very cool. I gave quite an awful little instruction video, which you've followed very well, and everyone's done great. And then so far you've updated your projects and you've created projects with a good template, and now we've sent you an email to say that you've been accepted, but also we're going to send another email just after this meeting. And I'm going to just have a little look at an email that I've sent myself. And in this email, it tells you when the review closes, which is on the 9th of April. So we've got 2 weeks. It's flexible in case there is problems with reviewing. And basically, team leaders must review at least 4 of the projects, and then team members are encouraged to help. And we've also randomly assigned a selection of projects for you to choose from as well. So the email will look a bit different from this, but we're just testing out to see if it could work. And then if you'd like to review more than what we've sent you, you can just go onto the page and look through the projects yourself, because it's kind of cool reading some of these projects.
Chris, can you insist on why we are doing this randomization process?
So the reason why we're doing the randomization process is because, as some of you pointed out, and as is a limit from the novelty of the platform, it's quite easy to look at a project and be like, "Ooh, that looks eye-catching." And what we found with other rounds on different platforms is people tend to have like 15 reviews on one single project, and those that might not have quite as an attractive interface aren't reviewed. So we've sent you 6 or 8 completely random projects to review, and that's why you should try and pick 4 of those to do. And that's why we've sent you sort of a random selection.
You can do more if you want. 4 is the minimum.
Yeah, of course. Review as many as you like. If you want to review 40, that would be amazing, and you'd have a great impact on the review as well. And so what happens when you review, just show you what the review process is. So I'll just open one of the links. This is the form link, and basically it's just a Google form. And in that Google form, there's a bit of an instruction essay, and then we ask for your email, and then for your JOGL profile URL. The reason we ask for your JOGL profile URL is because it contains lots of information. So we'll just go on to this slide. So this is Thomas' profile. I can zoom in a little bit. So this is Thomas, and on Thomas' profile, you can see that he has certain skills. So community building, business development, synthetic biology, open science. And you can see what you're interested in. And basically, we want to create a better version of what we've got so far that will automatically allocate projects. But also, we want to understand the biases that are in play when we do these reviews. So by building a profile and adding skills, it'll help us publish, it'll help us create an impact across the world, as opposed to just on JOGL. So it'd be really important to fill your profiles and get as many people on the team to fill the profiles as well. So basically, I'll just show you the form first before I go into how it works. Now, it would take a long time to go through the form and paste the links, but effectively, you put in your profile URL. So I'm just going to copy Thomas' URL and pretend that I'm Thomas. And we track you through these emails and through the URL. So it's essential that you use your own, because if there aren't enough reviews, then your project won't be eligible for funding. So we do check that. And then on the second page, it asks for the project URL. And then on the email we've sent, so this is the first project that I've been selected. Ooh, okay. Doesn't exist. We'll have to.
The page. The reason we're asking you the URL, of your JOGL profile is because we know what are your skills on that profile. So we'll be able actually to track also how good the reviews were compared to the skills that we've indicated. That's the reason why it's very important that, if not the case yet, you update your JOGL profile with your skills, so that when we do the analysis afterwards, there is a good matching also. And also very important, make sure that all your team members, when you've indicated in your project documentation application, those team members that are working on the project with you, make sure that they also have their their profile on JOGL with their skills. it's very, very, very important also because that's the base, you know, of the JOGL approach, being, you know, community based, and so that people can connect, and also we can, you know, understand who is behind the project.
So the review itself is quite simple. So what you do is you just you copy the URL of the list of projects that we've sent to you, and then you paste that into the form. And then the first question it asks is, are you part of the team that you're currently assessing? You can't assess your own projects, unfortunately. So I'm not part of this team, so I'm going to continue. And then also it asks, has the project been funded before? Now, we said at the start of the review, there's two types of grants. One is up to €2,000 and the other one is up to €4,000. And the €4,000 projects are those that have been funded before to be eligible. So I'm just going to check if this project has been funded before. And the way that we do that now is, Luca, and there's one of the cool new features, he has this, there's a badge that the project can have. So I'll just show you what it looks like on Hunter's project. So now Hunter, because the basic respirator has been reviewed very well before in the past, it's got like a special badge here that says, I've been reviewed and I'm a good project. And if that's the case, then that means that she's also received funding. So on the form, you would say yes, but if it was this project, you can see that it hasn't received funding before, and therefore I would put no. And then what happens is you go through the form and there's a series of questions from 1 to 5, and it takes about 20 minutes as you're reading the project description, problem background, and also they might have some documents in the, so a lot of the time people will put their application as a PDF in the document, so don't miss that. Yes, and then once you're done, feel free to post a comment on the project. Get in touch with them if you'd like, and that's not at all required. It's just something about being part of the community, and it'll give us all the greatest benefit, I suppose. And then, so does it work, for one, and how do we sort of analyze all the projects at the end? So now I'm finally going to present how the process works.
Before that, Chris, it's
okay.
So it's very important to understand that there are two types of projects, as you said, and we've designed two different forms. It's something that was not the case before. It was the same form for evaluating a project that was new and a project that was already, evaluated in the past and already funded. It's very important that this time if you review a project that was already funded in the past, that you review their advancements. It's very important, the delta between what they've done in the past and now. And so, yeah, it's really key.
The reason we have this logic gate to ask, have they been funded before, is because the forms are slightly different. So I'm sure that Hunter has achieved quite a lot, and I know that she has since she received her funding. And these projects are also measured on that aspect of the project. And this is just to ensure that if your project has been reviewed as good before, you can't simply just keep it the same. You have to advance the project as well. Okay, so how does the project work? How does the process work, sorry? So basically, we assess the projects by two fundamental aspects: the impact and the feasibility. And it's the average of all scores, not the average of impact and feasibility, that decides if your project is good enough. And so far we've been setting a cutoff of 3.5, but this depends on the amount of money we've had. And yeah, so those projects that do very well and are reviewed very well by the community and above the cutoff that we present, they will get funding. And those that unfortunately don't make it this round will not receive funding. And what we found is that our questions actually separate the projects quite well. So we're quite happy about that. This is just a PCA, a heat map of how people have answered differently on a certain round. And we've also got different, I'll just go through this. So one cool thing that we found out is this thing called correlation. So if two reviewers review the same project and review the same question about a project, and that and those scores coincide, that's a high correlation. And if they're against each other, then that's a low correlation. And so what you end up with like I wish I had an illustration here, but you end up with like a curve of all the scores. And if those curves look like they're the same, that's a really good correlation. And what we found so far is that across our rounds, people actually agree with each other. So we were worried that it could be an arbitrary process. And if it was an arbitrary process, you'd see that this is a bar chart across different rounds. If it was arbitrary and it was completely random, what you'd expect to find is these would associate on 0. But actually what we found is that across rounds, people agree with each other. And of course, there are some people that disagree, and that's the negative correlations, but there's lots of people that very, very much agree with each other. And also I should say that anything above 0 here means a very good correlation. It means they correlate. It's not necessarily the degree to which, anyway, the point is it correlates, and it's very cool. And what's also very cool, and what I think some people might have concerns of, is that applicants mark differently from non-applicants. And what we found also is the case that applicants actually mark very similarly to non-applicants. And when we look at correlation, and it's been cut off unfortunately here, the correlation between applicants and non-applicants, and therefore the reviewing behavior, is actually almost exactly the same. So this is like a positive light, and it suggests that actually we can just use applicants to review other people's projects. And this means that we can create a new sort of world where grants are actually reviewed by the applicants rather than a board of people. And I think that's the more democratic and more open way of doing things. So yeah, thanks guys. I think that's everything for microgrants. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. If you have any questions regarding this review process, don't hesitate to write to Chris. Chris, can you put your email address in the chat? That would be great. Yeah. It's chris@JOGL.
Yeah. I should also say, I had a few messages asking if they've received the email. I haven't sent the second email with all the details on the reviews yet. That'll come just after the call.
Yeah, don't worry. Everyone will be receiving something. It's it's very important that you make every step. So all the steps will be indicated in the email that Chris will be sending anyway. But just be careful reading it well, because it's going to be important for the whole process. All right. Thank you again, Chris. Let's get into the most interesting part of this call, hearing from your updates, guys. Who would like to start? Who do we have first in the slides? Let's see. It seems that Hunter is first with the basic respirator. Hi, Hunter.
Hi. So I don't see, is this slide up there?
Yep.
Okay, I see it now. Okay, cool. So for those of you that may be new to my project, my goal is to create a reusable surgical N95 respirator. The goal is to make it fit everyone, make it comfortable to wear, reduce environmental waste, and use as an alternative and hopefully localized supply chain. So it's primarily made with a coated fabric, and it uses a small disposable N95 filter. So quick updates, the Los Angeles Cleantech Incubator is interested in the project. I'm really excited about it because they've got great facilities. They have a wet lab, but it's a 2 to 3 year program that helps early stage tech startups that are focused on environmental, social, and economic impact. So they've got some scorecards that you have to meet. So I'm talking with them and may enter their program either in spring or later this fall when they open up again. I'm going to be initiating a healthcare pilot. So since my respirator is reusable, that's going to require a lot of behavior change within hospitals. I know some are using reusable respirators, but for the most part, a lot of them use disposable. One of the things I'll need to do is prove that it can be decontaminated safely and reused over and over again. So I'd like to determine the cost per use, and that might just be running the respirator through several cycles and until the point that it's going to break down and no longer be 95% effective. And then also want to determine the environmental impact. Not sure exactly how I'm going to gather that data, but I have a lot of questions that I want to ask to several people at hospitals and do some math on that. And then the other major part of this is I also want it to be a part research study. So I'd like to measure the faces of healthcare workers, particularly women and Asian women, because I'm hearing a lot and I'm reading a lot that respirators don't necessarily fit people with smaller faces or might have differently shaped noses. And that's a problem. So if you look at the project, you can look at some of the statistics and some of the deaths that are happening. I see something there. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I'd like to be able to measure them and do some A/B testing between the disposable respirator that they might currently be wearing versus the new device and determine if the new device fits better and if it provides a tighter seal, because if there's any gaps at all, obviously, the virus is going to seep in. The VA of LA might be interested. I'm not sure about funding and timeframe. It's tends to be kind of slow working with them. But I'm contacting other hospitals too, and particularly hospitals in underserved communities, because I know that accessibility is an issue. And so I'm thinking about supply chain and kind of I'm thinking about this project very, very broadly. So that said, I'm looking for collaborators to help with research. I put like the application is kind of a stew of things that I want to find out. Some of it, a lot of it's qualitative. A lot of it has to do with just me making sure that this device works and providing that data to potential investors and buyers. But again, the two main parts of the study are taking a look at sizing discrepancies between faces of real people that are wearing these and, matching that to, I guess, other statistics. And then the other part is the decontamination part of it, which might require working with pathogens and sterilizing devices and then measuring that, but that's a bit above my pay grade. So I'm just, again, looking for some help and guidance from your community on those things. That's it.
Thanks, Hunter. Very, very great news. Yeah. Don't hesitate to contact Hunter if you're interested in what she's doing. You have all the contact information here on this page. You can find her on JOGL, obviously. All right, thanks so much. So next is the Kona Detective Project, and we have Rachel here. Rachel?
So very nice to see everyone. Thank you for all the sponsoring. I'm not going to show you any data today, like the last call. But we have still been getting some results and getting tubes off to various countries. But I just put in a couple of the project updates that I thought were sort of relevant in terms of our hopes to get more funding, because it really is, when we think about making this, basically Corona Detective is a molecular diagnostic method that is very sensitive and lets you see if the virus is in a sample. So it's like an ordinary sort of RT-PCR, but much better, we think. And we think for surveillance testing of people, whether or not they have symptoms, Corona Detective could be very useful. We're looking into a lot of use cases now. And so we've been looking into, in terms of the updates I put here, we've been looking into local production with a new team member who has a small biotech company with a lyophilizer. So one of the big special things about Corona Detective is that when the tubes are freeze down, all the reactives are basically super stable, and you can ship them without any cold chain dependence to anywhere in the world. And then it gets used. Our partners in Sri Lanka had very good results using our tubes. And validated against some clinical samples. So now we've been meeting with this nice guy, Clemo, and so I put a picture of his lyophilizer on the project nucleic acid amplification in the Slack, where we usually hang out and chat, and everyone's welcome to join there so you can see what it looks like. It's a bit different from Guy's lyophilizer at Cree. But we got a quote for the enzymes from the supplier of NEB, the New England Biolabs, which makes the enzymes that are used for this RNA amplification. Actually, there's a reverse transcriptase and a polymerase, and basically to make many thousands of reactions, so 37 trays of 96 wells each, you end up getting asked for, just for the enzyme, 6,000 francs here in Switzerland. Of course, Guy in Paris has really ordered these types of things for his GMO detective, and he's gotten quite better prices than this, we think, but it's still in the ballpark. And so we're hoping that we can figure out a good way to really produce things at scale. And so we've been also working on dealing with samples. And so today we already ordered an inactivated viral preparation, and it still hasn't come, so we want to do more with that. So that update is sort of that's coming. But the next steps really are that we get some validation result data from our partners that are getting the tubes, especially in Ghana. They may even have enough tubes to get their version of an EUA for the method. And then we're looking into this at scale production. So we talked with somebody in America that has a very big company that does freeze drying. And somehow we never heard back for a few weeks, but I talked to the secretary today. I phoned, and she found my emails, my latest ones and some other older ones. And she says, we're gonna hear back from them soon. So that's basically the story from here, unless Guy has something else to say. I see the question. It's the Kumasi Hive in Ghana with Harry and the Sami, the nice people there.
All right, thanks so much, Rachel. Always very exciting to hear about the updates from Kona Detective. Next project is OPEX. I believe this is a new project. And Ishan is going to be the one presenting it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can present from here. Sorry, I was thinking I was going to screen share. So yeah, OPEX is originally a project focused on contact tracing solutions. So kind of as you can see in the diagram here, what we do is we use Bluetooth receivers and Bluetooth signals to try to determine, based on signal strength readings, how far away an individual is from a device. And based on that, we're able to determine which individuals are within 6 feet of each other. So there are similar technologies out there. And one of the things that we realize is, as students, that it's a lot more difficult for us, even though we're trying to provide like a lower cost solution that's more affordable. There's a lot of data privacy issues around like tracking users and things like that. There's a ton of issues we have to be in compliance with. So after we set up a couple meetings with like a lot of big institutions, we realized that a lot of them preferred the higher cost options because they were with like very robust official companies. So we kind of made a pivot to occupancy detection. This is a more pressing issue because what's happening right now is with medical labs and universities like Johns Hopkins, something that's of issue is that they're setting occupancy limits in rooms that, like in labs, like only 4 people can be in there, and students aren't following these rules. And they have many, many rooms in these universities. And the issue is they don't want to pay someone to have to stay in each room to make sure that students are following these guidelines. So we developed a mini Raspberry Pi software that can analyze the Bluetooth signals received in a room to determine how many people are there. And it's really exciting because I think you can see down at the image below on the bottom right. So it's kind of hard to see here, but this is a demo we're currently doing in my partner's house. And there's like 40 different signals he was receiving at first. And obviously there wasn't 40 people. So after implementing like a ton of different factors into this machine learning algorithm, we were able to discern some of the, as you can see, a lot of them are in black and then some of them are colored. Those are the ones that our algorithm are estimating are people. So we have a fully functional demo now, and it's on YouTube if you check out the project link so you can see it actually in use. And we are actually just got a partnership with my high school. So we're going to be deploying our technology there once they start. And we have meetings with a couple other big universities to try to get more. So I think the main issue for us right now is that it's pretty expensive. It's not very expensive, but it's kind of expensive to fund the infrastructure around buying receivers to put in each room. So we're kind of looking to JOGL right now until we can become more established, and then people will actually start to pay for the technology. But yeah, that's just some of the updates for now.
Thanks a lot, Shan. Looks like a very exciting projects.
Yeah.
So if you have more questions for Ishan, you can reach out to him through JOGL or in the Slack. We're going to go to the next project. And this is the effect of SARS-CoV-2 lockdown on air quality project with, forgive me if I don't pronounce the name correctly, but Wauma.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name here is Emeka, the name you are seeing on the Zoom. So, but I updated this slide further down. So, but the basic thing we want to do in this project is to look at the other positive side of COVID-19. Within the period of this lockdown, we want to look at how air quality has been affected and climate change, because this is a rare opportunity in human history at a time that almost all industries are down. So we want to actually solve the controversial problem of climate change vis-a-vis air quality using this window period of COVID lockdown. So basically what we're going to do is we are going to acquire data from various parts of the globe, from America to Europe, to Asia, to Africa, every part of the world. So we gather data of different climate change indicators, temperature, relative humidity, and what have you. Then we do a comprehensive analysis within the period of global lockdown, before the global lockdown, within the period of global lockdown. So we try to kind of see if there is any significant change. And then also, we are going to look at the air quality indicators, ozone, sulfates, aerosols, and see how COVID-19 lockdown has really affected these emissions. So this basically will help us to answer some critical questions when it comes to the causes of climate change. What are the effect? What are the things that are responsible for climate change? What are the things that are responsible for global bad air quality? So we want to use this window period to look at it on a global scale. So that is basically what we are going to do. And we are going to source our data from various platforms, from satellites, from ground stations, ground station data. So it's going to be a robust project that will look at various parts of the globe, taking into consideration, though we are not going to analyze the data from every country, but we are going to look at some key countries, maybe like some parts of Asia, some countries in Asia, which are known to be big emitters of big emitters, some parts of Europe, some parts of America, then parts of Africa too. So we are going to put all of them together and see the world as a globe in terms of air quality emission and see how COVID has affected the air quality and the climate change within the globe. Thank you. So that's the summary of the project.
Thank you so much. Can you repeat your name? How should we pronounce it?
Onyu Nemeka.
Okay, Onyu. Thank you so much.
Yes. Or you can call me Emeka for short.
Emeka, all right, we'll do
Yes.
that. I think it will be easier. Thank you so much, Emeka. I think it's a very important subject too. So thank you so much for that. We'll go to the next projects if we have one. Let's see, maybe not. Do we have? Those are the projects from the previous call. So I'm going to stop sharing. Do we have anyone here in this room who would like to share some updates regarding their project?
I don't know if, did Sarah share anything on any of these previous calls about the 1 hour COVID test?
Last time, so I guess, let me share my screen. This is the only slide I have regarding the 1 hour COVID test. So I don't know if this is up to date. So maybe you want to share something, Ellen?
I mean, we've definitely moved forward on this. We signed a contract with them that allows them to have exclusive commercial rights, but allows anyone who's doing it for non-commercial purposes to do it. This is sort of an experiment. We consulted with Linda Call, who's a lawyer who's been donating some time to JOGL and to these projects with the nucleic acid amplification group. And so we inserted language in to protect anyone who was doing it at cost or, you know, on themselves or, you know, all that sort of stuff. So this is the first attempt because we realized that in order for something to get out to the world, we don't yet at JOGL have the capacity to do all of the manufacturing and put up the money for regulatory approval and everything else. So this was in some ways a compromise and in some ways an experiment, and we hope to get some learnings from it. On the other side, though, I don't know if Sarah said anything about her own attempts to set up a CLIA lab. That's going very well. In the United States, you need a certain certification in order to do laboratory testing of human samples. It's called a clinical laboratory, and CLIA is the association that regulates it. They've dropped a lot of their procedural requirements during the pandemic. Normally, they won't approve you until they have inspectors that actually come to your site. And in this case, it's state by state. And in her state of Illinois, they basically told her, if you can get someone on board who has previous experience directing a CLIA lab or who has an MD and is willing to take responsibility for the running of the lab in terms of, you know, complying with regulations and HIPAA and all that stuff. And she did. She found someone who actually wanted to start a CLIA lab and didn't have lab space. And she had lab space that wasn't a CLIA lab. So it was a match made in heaven. And that's apparently going forward very well. And in the meantime, she's been doing testing, you know, quote unquote, for surveillance only in her area. She's also doing sort of an off the cuff validation in that she has friends, neighbors, acquaintances who have gotten tested for COVID and have either tested positive or negative, and she's comparing our test against those samples as soon after the real test as possible. And there's a publication that's happening in JBT where another group, this global LAMP group, has a survey of all of the LAMP data from lots and lots and lots of different groups that are in this group that are very specifically looking at COVID tests based on this one technology. That's being published, but we were also asked to submit short articles, and we just got the review back from the short article on the 1 hour COVID, and it actually was pretty favorable, which was surprising because it is a short thing, and you know, it's a little bit like a first kind of pilot, but it actually gave it an 8 out of 10, and it didn't fail miserably on anything. So they suggested we rewrite and resubmit. So it's going to depend on whether or not we have to do everything they said to do, because they wanted some data that we haven't collected yet. So that's pretty much it for us. And we'll let you know how that goes.
All right. Thanks so much, Ellen, for those updates. if you want to get in touch with Hélène, because you have some expertise regarding the subject that she has touched, especially the legal stuff here that is definitely not trivial. That would be extremely valuable. All right, I think this will be the last of the updates. Do we have any other one in the room who would like to share an update on that project, or it could be a personal update too?
Hi, Thomas. This is Amish.
Hi,
I don't
Amish.
know if you guys can hear us. Apologies for being late to the session. I'm running with back-to-back here today. Don't have a slide prepared for the session, but I would like to provide everybody with an update on Project OpenCovid19 and how that's progressing and where we're really going to be going now for the next phase of our prototype development. For those of you that are not aware, Project OpenCovid19 is designed to be a community health aggregator. So in simplistic terms, think of it as the Zomato, if those of you are familiar with Zomato, or an Uber for healthcare as a Yellow Pages. So we have a problem in India with the healthcare system, and it's not unique to India, but if you look at how hospitals broke down during COVID, and they were already breaking down at creaking point before COVID ever arrived on the scene. We have EMRs, we have what their equivalent of a social security number in the Aadhaar card system, and a bunch of other tools that have been implemented, but none of them speak to one another, none of them work. So if you're a patient in India, when you need to go to a hospital, if it's an emergency or otherwise, you need to show up either unannounced and try your luck to see if there's room enough for them to take you, or you need to call ahead to get a sense of, are you too busy to see me? Am I going to be able to see a doctor? If I need to be admitted, will I be admitted? During the pandemic, we saw people dying en route to the hospital. We saw people dying in the ER room with COVID or otherwise because of the impacts of poor flow management. So what we've done here with our app, and right now it's a web app, and we're live in Bangalore, and it's been working. It allows you to go through our site, go through our applet, select and click where you are in any geolocation. It'll identify the closest health centers, whether it's a hospital, whether it's a diagnostic lab, whether it's a clinic within a 30-mile radius. And it will allow you to layer filters on in terms of specific attributes of that center, so that you know ahead of time where you should likely be going. Should you be going to what's closest to you, maybe 2 kilometers away? When your actual issue is cardiological in nature, you may need to be going 5 miles away, but it allows you to prep and go there. So we've been testing it. In Bangalore, it's gone live. It seems to have been working well. We're getting customer acquisition right now to give us feedback for iteration. The next pivot that we're going to be doing is actually now integrating with the Government of India's COIN application that basically allows you now to log into their APIs to make a vaccine booking appointment. So we're going to now make it easier for people to use our app's functionalities, tie into making a booking, and also then going in and finding a link to your closest Uber or Ola cab, so that you can actually, if you need to schedule a trip to and fro, you can do that as well. And that's what we're working on right now. We have been putting in for the next round of grant funding, so we can help with the developer costs to really get over that hump. But we're pretty excited about the direction the project will be taking.
Thank you so much, Amish, for the update. It's so again, if you guys would like to get in contact with Amish, don't hesitate. You can find him on the JOGL platform or on the Slack. I believe that's pretty much it for today's sessions. But before we go, I think we have to renew one of our old tradition. By old, I mean like 1 year old. it's we used to make a nice screen capture of everyone. So if you could activate your video stream and at 3, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to ask you to say hi, and we're just going to have this collective hi, and we'll share this picture on the social media so that others can see what's going on too. So if you, I'm just going to wait for everyone to activate the video stream. It's good to see faces. Hi. All right, almost there, almost there. All right, maybe Guy, Juliette, Riley, Zach, Jajour. Almost, almost, almost. Okay, I think we're going to do it this way. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and say hi. Perfect. Thank you so much, guys, for this session. I'm always blown away by what you are achieving, and I really hope that this new round of microgrant is going to be helpful to you too. Don't hesitate to to share the form for evaluation to other people that you think are going to be of good expertise also for this review process. But yeah, I'm looking forward to talk to you guys in 2 weeks with the results of the open peer reviewing session. Thank you so much, and have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.